Good evening, world. Welcome to the Doc and Lefty program, broadcasting to you from beautiful, sunny downtown Des Moines, the webcast1live.com studios. This is Lefty bringing you the perspectives you love from the sides you hate. And with me, maybe a little breathless, but never a little witless, is my partner, Doc Petrosh. Doc, how are you doing today?
I'm a little frazzled. As you can tell, Maddie didn't make my hair up like she usually does before we go on.
Yeah, and that, well, and it's, she has your wardrobe all laid out, and
oh, she does. She's an excellent producer.
We're both a little rumpled. I got to tell you. Well, so what's going on with you?
Well, one, I decided, since it's so spring-like, I was going to wear a Hawaiian shirt.
Yep.
And I have to take one of my cars in tomorrow, so I had to switch cars around and all that stuff. I get down here, I don't know what's going on, but there's not a parking space to be had for blocks. So I had to park blocks away. So I'm hoofing it down here in our usual route through Burger King.
Yep.
It's closed. So I go over to Walgreens, and I don't know how many bums were out there when you were there, but there's
I go through the Bank of America building, buddy. It's always open.
Oh man. Well, I need to figure out how to do that, because Walgreens was nothing but a gauntlet of hobos, pandering and harassing families and stuff. Because, it's nice, let the, panhandling terror begin. And so I finally made it up there. And then I'm I'm real far behind. Because my brother Joe called, you called, my mom called, people that I didn't even know listened to the show called.
Well,
and was asking if I was going to be on time. So anyway, we're on time. And I think I have a new theme for our show.
Okay, what's that?
And I was listening to a Lady Gaga song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I'm ripping this off from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
A rad bromance. That's what we have on this show.
A rad bromance?
Yes.
Rather than a bad romance?
Yes. Because we both had those.
Yeah, well, that is true. That's true. Well, I gotta tell you, I was a little bit concerned that I wasn't going to have enough time to do everything that I needed to do, because I was supposed to do a jury trial tomorrow morning. But I'll tell you what, sometimes the clouds part and things work out, and we're going to get the thing resolved. And I was able to, after getting frustrated and fed up with the process today, and because when you're gearing up for something and then it kind of resolves itself, or you work out the deals or whatever it is that you have to do, it takes the wind out of your sails. And so from about 12:30 to 3, I was kind of in shell shock, not doing a whole lot, and then worried that I wasn't going to get stuff done because we had the show, we had a lot to talk about, and if I was going to be on point, but everything is going to be just peachy keen. It always works out for me, yes. Doc. Everything it always works out for old Lefty in the end.
Oh yeah, it's just like the old Disney classic, Fox and the Hound.
That's right.
And they have that commercial running with Roger Miller's song from there, and that's kind of how it goes with Lefty over there.
Yep.
We're getting a new studio.
We are.
We're
moving.
We are, and from what I know, Maddie says we are. And she's never lied to you.
No, she's never lied to me.
So apparently we're moving over to Merle Hay Mall.
Really?
Yep, the tower's over there. We're
really?
going to be up on the 5th floor. Is that right? She doesn't know. So,
so I'm going to have to leave earlier.
You're going to have to leave earlier. But what that means is all I got to do is stay at my office an extra little bit and walk there.
Well, that's what I was doing. I was just staying until 6, and because it's a nice little jog to downtown, even from the new digs. You're gonna have to come and see the new digs, because at Fleur Drive, it looks really nice, and we put a lot of work into the old place, but I think this place is just sort of we moved up a floor. We were on the ground floor at the old place.
Yeah.
We moved over to the second floor at the new building.
Yeah.
So one of these days we're going to be in the principal looking down and all.
Oh, that'll be great.
All the.
Oh yeah.
The little
you'll have to let me rent a room from me up there then.
Oh, I expect that we're going to be paying you rent to be up there. Is the issue, because you're one of your real estate mogul deals is going to
hopefully
get that done.
We'll get something like that done.
Yeah.
So, so I'm excited for the new digs. Mac let us know this week that's where we're moving. So I'm excited to see the new studio. Apparently, Webcast One Live and KTIA, the Christian channel, are joining forces and are going to be sharing space up there. So it'll be a whole lot of fun.
That is cool.
So I just hope they have an elevator, Because this old fat boy can't hoof it up 5 flights of stairs.
But see, in 6 weeks it'll be easier, right?
It will be. How much you down?
Oh, I'm only down like a pound.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't lost very much.
Yeah. Well, I'm down like 6.
You lost 6 in this last week?
I'm lying.
No.
No, I just had a big old half piece of pie up there.
Yeah, I haven't done very well. But see, the thing is, when I get to, this is about cruiser weight for me.
Yeah.
When I get fat, I get up to about 250. I think I was pushing 260 a few months ago. But that's where I top out when I'm eating like garbage and drinking all the time and just being really unhealthy. Then when I stop eating like crap and I don't drink as much, then I drop just 15 pounds just right off the bat like that without doing hardly any work at all. That's about where I am right now. Now I got to start working out and actually being active, and I should drop another.
Well, all I do is give up
15,
second
20.
breakfast and second lunch, and I'm good. I'm like a giant hobbit over here.
This guy lives like Bilbo Baggins.
Yes, I do. I even had the big feet and painted toenails like Bilbo. So,
Bilbo didn't paint his toenails.
Well,
he just had leathery soles.
This hobbit does.
Okay. I understand.
In fact, it's Easter eggs. If anybody's out there curious. So,
very good.
Yeah, Maddie's giving me the rolling eyes thing. Besides, I think that should be her job as producers to carry us up to the 5th floor if we can't make it.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so? Maybe that's what our next
she
challenge.
already carries the show for us, so we can't overload her with too much.
Well, that's true. The other, maybe the next challenge we do is see who can run up the flight of stairs the quickest up to the 5th floor.
Oh boy, I think
This will be measured in hours and days. just to let you know. All right.
Do you have an hourglass that we can dump?
It's like that giant spider that they've taught to go uphill, right?
Yeah.
That we'll just grab one of those, I'll ride it up there.
Good Lord.
All right. So what we got up first? What's our next time going to be about?
Well, I gotta, what I kind of want to talk about off the top, because we're doing Hillary's emails, we're doing the plane in the Alps. We should probably talk about the plane first, because that's been kind of dominating a little the international news. But I also wanted to pick your brain about Ted Cruz, because he announced last week, first guy to officially announce. And I know that wasn't on the rundown, but I was interested to hear what you had to say about Ted Cruz throwing his hat into the ring in March of the year before the campaign officially gets going. I mean, it's early. It's
very early.
And he did it without the whole exploratory thing too. So talk about the plane, then Ted Cruz, and talk about Hillary's emails, and then a little bit of state politics. The Republicans and Democrats are working on the budget. They're nowhere near compromise yet. I think they were still like $100 million apart or something or other last week, and it hasn't gotten much better. But specifically, the Republican House has passed a change to the collective bargaining law for state employees. And I want to talk about that a little bit, about some of the implications, especially for teachers. And that's I think that's what it was really focused on, is changing the arbitration rules for teachers when they're negotiating their contracts and stuff. So that's where we're going to go next, and then we'll see what we see from there.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back right after this break.
Bertroche and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this evening. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of different things going on in the news, but Doc, I wanted to... the thing that has kind of caught international attention is another one of these huge airliners going down, but this one's a little different. Why don't we tell the people what's happening with it?
Well, essentially what happened is there was in Europe, it's a commuter flight. Here in the U.S., that's what it would be called. It's a regional jet. And I thought
it was an Airbus, though. It was one of the big ones.
It was one of the big ones, but it's still a commuter jet.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a short haul. It's not, not built for anything. I think it was a 2.5 hour flight, 3 hour flight, something like that. And this, the pilot, they're outlining how they're going to go, and they discuss the route and any changes that are going on. And apparently, the only thing that they'll say is the co-pilot got testy. I don't know what that means. I don't know what was said. So the other pilot gets up, and if you've ever been on a plane to watch this dance that they do to let the pilot go to the bathroom, they put the cart sideways. They block the aisle, so you have to go over one cart, and then you have another cart blocking it. The pilot comes out, turns around, closes the door, and locks it. Then goes to the bathroom and comes back out. And what happened is, in the process of coming back out and saying, hey, listen, why don't you open up the door, the co-pilot locked it and wouldn't refuse to open it. So he knocked on the door and identified himself. He's the pilot. Please let me back in. And they have a little camera. You can look and see who it is. And the guy wouldn't do it. The problem is, if you fly frequently, you can tell when you're going up and going down, eyes closed. You don't need to look outside. The pilot knew that they were dropping altitude. So he starts banging on the door more and more and more and started screaming and saying, let me in, let me in. And the entire time, and this is what's spooky, the entire time, the co-pilot doesn't say a thing. His breathing doesn't change. He doesn't get anxious. And it's only right before impact that anybody starts screaming and yelling and figuring out what's going on. A lot of times, mountains from 35,000 feet, if they're 12,000 feet tall, like these are going to look the same at 35,000 feet that they do at 25,000 feet. I mean, really, that's what it is. The perspective really doesn't change all that much. It's just the distance you can see. So it took them a while to figure that out.
Well, there's been more information because they found the recorder. They haven't been releasing a whole lot, but the thing that tipped everybody off that something went seriously wrong is that this plane descended at a steady rate over 8 minutes without a dip, without engine failure or without a mayday, without anything, just a smooth, almost deliberate crash into the side of a mountain, killing everybody on board.
Well, and that's what they're saying the co-pilot did. They set it on an autopilot for that descent.
And that's what all these experts were saying early on, was that this can't just be a random thing. No. There had to have been some kind of human activity. And so has there been any developments? Have they released anything that points to the motivation?
No. There's no motivation on the tape that they can see. That it's a normal conversation where the co-pilot gets a little irritable at one point. Things that have turned up for the co-pilot. He suffered from a bout of depression 6 years ago, and he was treated for that. He had to take time off, didn't make it through pilot school, and so then he got this excuse for depression, then went back and did it. He'd been a model employee, apparently. He had been doing well overall. And the problem is he had the day that this crash happened, he wasn't even supposed to fly. He had an excuse for depression. He'd also broken up with his girlfriend the day before. And the thing that's fairly telling to me is when people are asking, well, do you think this is a terror attack? No, they don't think it's a terror attack. Well, can you tell us what the religion of this individual is? No. We have more important things to pursue, and his religion is not going to have anything to do with it. My thing is you have the mental illness aspect. You have people trying to cover up what religion he is. I agree under normal circumstances. I don't care if he's a Muslim or if he's a Christian, Jew. But the fact that they're not even going to look at that in any way possible, that this could be a lone wolf attack, really makes me stop and go, well, what are they hiding there? The second thing about this is now you're going to have all kinds of scrutiny over people with mental illness. And don't get me wrong, when I say that, people think of crazy people in the straitjacket going, oh my God, and babbling to themselves. That's not the kind of mental illness we're talking about. We're talking about depression. And the thing is if he's not being properly treated, if he's still having bouts of depression, if he's continuing to maybe skip his medications or whatever, there needs to be some kind of transparency and some policy in place where they can't fly. Suicide by airline pilot is not something that is frequent, but has happened before. Mm-hmm. The Arab jet that went down, the Egyptian air jet. Mm-hmm. They think, I mean, of course, the guy's screaming Allah Akbar all the way down, but they say, well, that was a suicide attempt. His family denies that. There are other cases where this has happened with smaller airplanes. But the thing is, I just want people to know, I think everybody has a right to know your pilot's, health record. I think that's something that should be available. I mean, people have to get to know my health record, right? I'm a psychiatrist. Is there anything that would hold you back? You have to report the stuff to the board. The board makes it, if it was serious enough, makes public knowledge. So I think,
I don't think that's true, is it?
Yeah.
The Board of Health doesn't make doctors' health. I don't think that I could search for your health records.
No, they can't search for my health records, but they can put on there if there's been concerning treatments and the rest of it.
Well, that happens. There's when the bar, if a lawyer gets suspended, and makes an issue out of, maybe there was some of the issues relating to that lawyer's suspension were health related, or I have an alcohol problem, or I have a mental health problem, or whatever. If that is made part of the factual record, the Supreme Court will make that public in its ruling. It won't get into the specific records, but it'll say this is what the lawyer admitted to. These are what the facts found. But the attorney would be the respondent would have to make that part of the record. It wouldn't just be something that the board would, or that the grievance commission would go out and pick through.
Yeah, well,
under normal circumstances.
Yeah, but the rules for doctors and particularly psychiatrists is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But Jason writes in, there's Section 7.3 of the APA forbids psychiatrists from commenting on an individual's mental state unless he's actually examined them. Mm-hmm. And the problem is you have everybody on TV and radio trying to guess what was going through this guy's head. Nobody's really going to know, right? And they're going to try to put together the best possible picture. But bottom line is it's a terrible tragedy. It shouldn't have happened. I think it's something that could have been avoided had their protocols been more strictly enforced. I believe they have protocols in place.
Well, one thing that's interesting about this is that we're talking about the locking of the cabin under the reinforced doors is a post 9/11 safety measure that has been employed in all major airline carriers, where they don't want these doors being able to be broken down. Now, what I wonder, and also the locking from the inside, where only the people in the cabin can open the door once the door has been locked. And I'm wondering, now you gotta trust that your pilot or co-pilot, but what happens in the case of an emergency? Say this wasn't deliberate, right? Say that he didn't make a conscious decision to kill himself and 150 other people, okay? But had a heart attack or an aneurysm or some sudden health emergency that he lost consciousness, and the plane went down because of that. He wasn't able to correct it, and the pilot is outside with a locked door and can't get back in. Why would the pilot not have a key or something? You know what I'm saying?
He does. It's not a key. He has a code that he can punch in.
Right.
And then if the co-pilot, there's a certain period of time that passes, and if the co-pilot pokes that button, and then it will erase that code. So whoever's sitting in there, usually what they have is one of the stewardesses sits in that cabin with them in the pilot seat, just for that reason, and that didn't happen this time. So there's a failure of protocol somewhere. I'm sure as they're listening to this, they'll come up with the reason why the stewardess wasn't sitting in there, because that's usually the protocol. I mean, I've seen them do that over and over. But the pilot does have the ability to override that system. But if there's still somebody in live and able to respond on the inside, they can push this other button and lock everybody out, no matter what the pilot does. So, I mean, it's just the truth of the matter is, had Germanwings followed these protocols strictly, because if a I know this, Dave Funk, you remember him? Dave Funk has gone over a couple of times the protocols you need. And if I'm wrong, Dave, you correct me. I'm more than happy to be corrected. But basically, if there's any mental or physical reason why you can't fly, the doctor's required that they go see is required to notify the airline. He's not qualified to fly today.
Yep.
And that's what he had. The psychiatrist had said, you're not supposed to fly today. So there's a protocol not being followed there, not a protocol being followed on the airline during this thing. And it's just wound up in tragedy, you know. In a lot of these small German towns, I mean, 16 kids died on this plane. I'm betting that's most of the class.
Well, the principal from the high school where these kids were going back to went on the record. I guess the student population, the total student population, he said was 1,083. And
Really?
in the middle of the interview, he said, well, I guess that means 16 fewer, and just lost it.
Yeah.
It's just horrible, horrible thing. There's nothing that I personally have a more visceral reaction to than young kids, like teenagers or young kids in something like this. And there's
no fault of them.
We can't stress enough that no one really knows what happened, and we'll probably never know. It's a horrible thing, but it really is a shame, and really doesn't.
So let's move on to Hillary's emails. Because
you want to talk about Hillary's emails?
Yeah,
You want to talk about something happy?
Yes. So we'll be back right after the break. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's Amco on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give Amco on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Good evening. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. This is the Doc N Lefty program. We talk a lot about a lot of different kinds of things. We're talking about politics. We're talking about current events today. And nothing has been, I don't know. There's been so much that's been going on, especially with the Israeli elections and the Iran nuclear talks. You know what? I got to think that the Iran nuclear talks and some of the stuff with the Israeli election, the person that benefited the most is the person we're going to talk about next. That's Hillary Clinton, because that pushed this whole email thing right off the front pages. No one's talking about it anymore.
Just like her husband. You get a scandal, you wag the dog.
Yeah, you can't even. I don't think that you can even call this. What would you call a scandal? Like it's a diet scandal, or it's not even a.
Well, all I know is she does not have a DNA stained dress.
First of all,
that's good.
Well,
that's a bonus. That's the first difference in this scandal.
This is the difference between Hillary and Bill. Bill had a DNA stained dress. Went on national television to say he didn't have sexual relations with that woman, and basically is still a beloved president. Hillary has been hated ever since 1991. She has never really caught a break anywhere from anybody in the press, has been exonerated. Exonerate's a strong word. She has been found to not have adversely contributed to the Benghazi thing in like 2 or 3 separate reports, 2 of them authored by Republicans, and this email thing is the weakest of the weak tea with everything that has been swirling around Hillary Clinton forever, and yet she still is getting stuck and stung with this stuff time and time again. And it's gotten to the point where something happens to Hillary and people assume it's worse than it is. It's like Hillary Clinton, a news report comes out, Hillary Clinton crosses the street. I bet she was jaywalking. Hillary Clinton parks her car probably in a handicap spot, where it's like it's bad, but it's not really super bad, but it's worse than what she actually did. Hillary Clinton kept a private server, just like Colin Powell. Had a private email account, just like Colin Powell.
Yeah. Well, but here's part of the thing. Here's what's getting the right all worked up. It isn't the fact that she had a private email server. They're not supposed to do that, but again, we're back to there's reasons for the protocols. The bottom line, here's what the thing is. We had the IRS going after Republican and Libertarian
and liberal. They went after everybody.
Yeah, they did, and they violated the boundaries of what they're supposed to do. And when Lois Lerner was asked to provide the emails, miraculously, she couldn't find them. Mm-hmm. And then, the server got immaculately erased, right? Like the Immaculate Reception, the Immaculate thing just got erased. And so there's this entire buildup over a period of time where people in Obama's government simply erased the emails. Oh, I'm sorry they got erased. Just don't know how. Everything else works. Only my account was affected. And so now you get to the culmination of arguably one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful woman in the United States. You can make a good argument that Oprah may be more powerful, but I'm going to tell you, Hillary is right up there.
I'm telling you that Oprah takes Hillary's call. Hillary doesn't necessarily take Oprah's call.
You think?
I think so. I think if Oprah sees in the caller ID that it's Hillary Clinton, she takes that phone call. I think if Hillary sees Oprah, she's like, oh man, I just talked to her yesterday.
Yeah. Well, that might be true. But the bottom line is you can't argue that she's a powerful woman and a likely 2016 candidate. And so you have all these emails, snafus going on, and then Hillary's just the latest in a long line. And the Republicans and people are right are going, hold on. It is endemic among Barack Obama's administration that they just simply lose stuff. I mean, it's tough to prosecute people if they erase all their emails, which is how everybody communicates today.
Well, the thing is, it's more than just that, because the Republicans, in their fever dreams, believe they're going to find a confession to the Vince Foster suicide, the stand down order for Benghazi. They think they're going to find.
They might find the stand down order, but they're not going to find Vince. Because that was before emails.
They believe everything that has ever been whispered or supposed or conspired about Hillary Clinton. They think that's all going to be in some email server locked away someplace. Folks, you just got to relax. It's not happening. If Hillary Clinton could have been brought down, she would have been brought down by now. But I will say that you can't. This is the reason why people don't like Hillary. Her response to this, rather than come out and say, "Gosh, you guys, I thought that I went back and looked at my predecessor. I looked at Condoleezza Rice. I looked at Colin Powell. I thought they did it this way. I thought it was okay, but I recognize now that the rule changed before I took the job. I should have been better. I should have been. I should have kept things closer. And you know what? Everything I deleted was personal. I should have let somebody else delete it. There are ways to do this. I once got into a little bit of a tiff with a witness. I was representing a guy in a criminal case here in Iowa, and I called one of the witnesses, one of the state's witnesses, because I was getting a lot of pushback from the state. They weren't letting me do what I wanted to do. So I just called the person. I figured, I'm the attorney. It's my prerogative. I'm investigating my guy's case. This is how it's going to. I thought I could just do it myself. And we had a conversation, and I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward 6 months later, this witness, when we're doing plea negotiations, the state reached out to the witness, and the witness has got this whole story made up that I threatened her, that I tried to put pressure on her, all stuff that I didn't do. But of course, there's no record of it, and you have to take my word for it. And what I should have done is hired an investigator, a third party who doesn't have my sort of ethical obligations to investigate this for me and come back with a report that I could say, hey, look, there was that extra buffer. She should have had somebody else do it. I learned from my mistake. Hillary keeps putting her foot in this kind of stuff over and over and over again, where I think that she screwed up small, but then her response has made it into a bigger thing than it should have been.
Yeah, well, and I would agree. Now, I'm not trying to analyze Hillary, so I'm not in violation of the APA. But a lot of this, I think, boils down to her personality. I'm 100% convinced that Bill Clinton wouldn't have been anywhere near as successful in his gubernatorial runs or his presidential runs if it hadn't been for Hillary. She's got a backbone. She's the one that says, listen, we're going to fight. And her nature is to fight to the death over a lot of things. And she's not willing a lot of times to admit, like you said, hey, listen, I made a mistake. So her response is try to hide it and cover it up.
Well, and I also think that, maybe, but I think a bigger part of it is that because it was a response to the press. And Hillary's been burned by the press so many times where, for example, what am I supposed to do? Just sit in the house and make cookies? That was a sarcastic toss-off comment that was blown way out of proportion. The negative reporting she got when she was taking over the Hillary Care initiative. All this, she has been just bagged by press reports her entire career. And so much like you hear a Republican complain about the unfair treatment by the press, she keeps things back. Should she do it? No. You have to be as open and transparent as possible, but that's not, she's been bitten every single time.
Yeah, a lot of times, yeah. Now, we've come up on a break. Want to thank all our sponsors, Bertrosian Associates, LabinosLawFirm.com, Halo Capital at Des Moines Interest Rates.com, Des Moines Anesthesia PC, who are, at this point, our most faithful advertiser. Kent Krosky and his crew do an excellent job for anesthesia. I've worked with Kent several times, and he does a fantastic job. They have offices here in Des Moines and in Fort Dodge. They also do pain management. You can give them a call at 515-574-6442. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Also follow us on docandlefty.com. I promise this week we're going to have blogs up. The other thing I want to announce is Dr. Terror has landed. We'll be back right after this break.
Bertrosh & Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertroshandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertrosh & Associates.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around for this first half hour. The second half hour, you know what? I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you because you've expressed. Well, you know what? I don't know that we've ever talked about him.
Well,
on this
ask
show.
away because I don't know until you ask.
I want to talk. See, Uncle Teddy was Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy has sadly passed. I don't want to give this guy the uncle status. Maybe we call him Crazy Teddy. Crazy Teddy Cruz.
No, not Crazy Teddy.
His last name lends itself to it.
Not Crazy Eddie. Not Crazy Teddy.
You just got to add a letter and change a letter.
How about Thunderous Teddy Cruz?
Thunderstruck Teddy Cruz?
No, just Thunderous. Be nice.
No, I'm just poking at you a little bit because I know
don't poke the bear.
We've never talked about Ted Cruz. Well, we've talked about him, but not very much. You have expressed support, but also expressed how would you call it? Frustration with some of Cruz's tactics and strategy in the Senate. And he announced last week that he is officially running for president. He announced at Liberty University at an event where, if we talk about how Hillary's, the perception of Hillary Clinton is not very positive sometimes, doing a speech at Liberty University where the kids are required to be there or they're fined $10, and all you had to do was ask one kid about it to break that little bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good right off the top.
No.
But I'm curious, what do you think about Ted Cruz running for president? You are the conservative on the show. Speak for your people.
Thanks.
Are you excited?
I'm speaking for my people.
Are you
now.
excited? Are you apprehensive? Are you indifferent?
I feel like I should stand up on a lectern, and use my power voice.
Oh, if this show
when
could
you talk like this and you're projecting your voice.
If this show could afford a lectern, I would make you speak from it every single time.
Oh man. Well, here's the truth. Ted Cruz is very popular. He's very popular among fiscal conservatives. He's very popular among the libertarians. So he's got 2 of the 3 locked up. He's really working hard trying to get the Christian vote locked up, because we talk about the schism all the time on here. The trick is he stumbled a couple of times out of the block. He's got a lot of people, heavyweight Iowans behind him. Part of the problem that he's going to have is he's not well known outside of conservative circles. He makes a splash sometimes. But if you ask the average kid, the average person on the street, hey, who is Ted Cruz? They're not going to know. I mean, Maddie knows because she listens to the show. She has to. But, the average person is not going to, he doesn't have a lot of name recognition. Number 2, when you don't have a lot of name recognition and you don't have the organization in place, you declare early, hoping to get the core states organized. Core states would be Iowa, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, Florida, Texas, and California. Trying to get things organized there so you can get your name out. The more you have name recognition, the better off you are. That's the strategy for starting this early.
I just don't think that Ted Cruz is hurting for name recognition. He was at the forefront of both attempts to shut down the government. He filibustered for no reason. It wasn't really even a filibuster. He just talked for a long time. Right after Rand Paul did it, he has been one of the loudest critics about the Affordable Care Act in the Senate, and he is somebody that doesn't shy away from the camera. I don't think that he has a problem with people not knowing who he is. His biggest problem, in my opinion, is that you say that he's popular. He's super popular with Christian conservatives, big time. Liberty Mutual, or good Lord, Liberty University is Jerry Falwell's college. Is it Pat Robertson? One of those guys founded Liberty. I can't remember which one it is. It's either Pat Robertson or Jerry Falwell. He's big with Christian conservatives. Mainstream Republicans, especially his colleagues in the Senate, hate his guts because he leads them down a path to destruction, the government shutdown stuff, the debt ceiling stuff, that he knows is not going to look good, and he knows that going up against a Democratic president is going to leave egg on the face of all the Republicans that follow him, and then when it inevitably fails, he turns around and says, you guys are spineless wimps that wouldn't follow me to hell. That's what Ted Cruz does. Mainstream Republicans hate his guts. At least his colleagues in the Senate. John McCain called him a wackadoodle or some stupid thing. So I guess I think you're right. Declaring early means that he can kind of get a jump start, but I think it's DOA, man. Well,
the other thing, and this is to be, I want to show you. I'm going to give you that to take a look at the comment there about Uncle Teddy Cruz. The bottom, yeah, that's a good one. Too bad we can't say it on the air.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, thanks, Jason, for that and disrupting my train of thought. The bottom line is there. We've talked about this. The libertarian and the fiscal conservatives love them. They really do. As far as what you call mainstream, the more moderate or liberal Republicans, yeah, they probably dislike them quite a bit. Because the truth of the matter is, anymore, there's not a lot of difference between a moderate Republican and a Democrat. My article this week on the blog is going to be entitled, Republicans raising taxes faster than any Democrat. That's the honest to goodness truth. But the other thing that could be going on is he, very cynically, by the way, he could be angling just for a job in government. He could be angling for a vice presidential shot. Mm-hmm. He could be angling for a Secretary of State. But you do all that stuff would be a tremendous springboard later on. Yep. And he does have quite a bit of foreign policy experience at this point. So, most senators do.
I don't know about that. He's a freshman senator. Ted Cruz gaining cachet in the Republican Party or in the Republican primary leaves them just as vulnerable to the criticism that was lobbed against a certain freshman senator from Illinois when he ran for president.
Yeah, well, and the bottom line
and so what kind of principle is that?
Well,
I mean, that guy won, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but the thing is, cynically, this is what I'm saying, cynically, he may be just declaring so he can get angle in case a Republican wins, he get a seat in the cabinet.
Well, I sort of think this is also a reaction to Jeb Bush sucking up all the money from every corner of the country. I mean, Ted Cruz, you'd think that Ted Cruz would be competitive in Texas because they love him in Texas. They really, really do. He is hugely popular in his home state. Jeb Bush has already sucked up most of the money because Texas Republicans still love George.
Oh, yeah.
Texas Republicans are one of the only places George W. can go for a standing ovation.
Well, he can go to standing ovations at a lot of other places.
Well, I know.
He get a standing ovation.
He'd get a standing ovation even in a nonpartisan crowd because he's a former president. I'm not trying to belittle George W. Bush. I'm saying Texas is the place where he is loved the best in this country.
Yeah.
And so Jeb is sucking the money up there. Jeb's sucking the money up everywhere. I think this is more of a reaction to, I got to get some fundraisers. And I think that he's made a lot of those fundraisers angry with some of the stunts that he's pulled.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. I don't think, fundraiser, people understand politics. People that give money at that level, they understand what's going on. And they understand, they're angling.
Yeah, and he's engaged in bad politics. So,
well, no, it's not necessarily bad politics. He solidified his base doing what he did. I mean, look at it. I mean, when the Republican leadership started to back away, fiscal conservatives and even Christian conservatives and libertarians all went, don't let Ted go. This is what we want. This is what we're here for. And Ted Cruz did what his base wanted him to do. You have to keep in mind, all politics is local. He has to go back to the people of Texas and answer for why he didn't do it. Well, he led the charge. Part of the problem that's going on with Jeb Bush is there's such a backlash from fiscal conservatives and Christian conservatives for Jeb Bush.
Which is insane. He was one of the most conservative governors Florida ever had when he left office.
Yeah, but you also have to keep in mind that, there's a lot of fiscal conservatives don't like George Bush, right? And don't get me wrong. I don't want to say anything bad about the president, about my president, George Bush. But there's a lot of things I disagreed with. And the thing for me why I really won't ever say anything bad is the way he's treated the troops. Treated troops awesome, great. But the bottom line is Jeb Bush, there's a lot of backlash against him because now you're going to talk a third generation of Bush president.
Fourth term. Because, he's hired all of the same people.
Yeah.
So it is just kind of like, what's different? But I don't know. I think that Ted Cruz, in the same paragraph of his speech, he advocated for abolishing the IRS, but yet still somehow levying taxes, a flat tax, but still somehow collecting taxes. And you kind of just like, hey, come on, man. You're going to announce it. They've got to be ready for prime time. Those two things don't make any sense.
But there are a lot of people that love the flat tax. There's a lot of people that want to abolish the IRS, and they're often the same people.
Yeah, so which means they don't understand how things work. Because you're going to abolish the. So what are you have a flat tax? Who collects it then?
Well, talking about abolishing the IRS is different than saying, well, listen, we need to set up a different way of doing things. Abolishing the IRS makes a nice piece.
Well, it's a nice soundbite for people who aren't serious about running for president.
Well, no, I think he's serious about running for president. I think he's also understands that his chances are pretty slim. It could be he pulls out an Obama moment and stomps everybody in Iowa and gives his campaign a boost. You never know, but that's why you start things this early.
Yeah,
and I think
maybe.
He's a legitimate candidate. And I know you don't like anybody conservative or people that don't raise taxes or people that want to stand on principle, which is what Ted Cruz did. And you can disagree with the strategy or not, but at least he did something. At least he was willing to stand up against the mighty Obama machine. And unlike John McCain, who just simply rolled over and blew his own chances for being president by acting like a third grader in one of those debates.
Well, keep pulling the party further and further to the right. Keep lauding candidates that are completely out of step with everybody else in the country, and see if you win another presidential election.
Marginalizing people who believe that we ought to have fiscal responsibility in Congress doesn't make it so that nobody else believes that we should have fiscal responsibility. Part of the problem with the electorate, and you got to agree with this, they're fed up with politicians.
Yes, that's true.
You know, and Obama and Reagan did the same thing. They motivated people that thought we can actually do something. And the problem is Obama's in there 2 years and everybody goes, same shit, different day. And I know I'm going to get censored. Sorry. So
now that happens.
Yeah,
it's a live show.
Yep. So we'll be back right after this break. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Get away from us, you need old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Welcome back, everybody. We're in the home stretch, and the last thing I wanted to talk about, because it's been in the news a little bit around the state, is that over on a party line vote in the House after 2 days worth of debate, and with how short the session is, if any one subject gets more than a day's worth of debate, you know that's a pretty hot button topic, is the House Republicans voted to change some of the current collective bargaining rules for teachers. The collective bargaining rules have been in place since the 70s. I think Governor Ray and a Republican legislature passed them back in I don't want to get dogged by a date. So it was back in the 70s. They've been around for a long time, and the Republicans have proposed that the central thing anyway is the way that contract disputes happen is the management and the teachers union gets together and they try and mediate, and if they can't mediate, they go to arbitration. Arbitration being a non-judicial impartial third party that hears evidence and then makes a binding decision. Mediation is not necessarily binding, but they make a binding decision over which proposal to take, which side of the contract to take. And as the law currently stands, is that the arbitrator is required to take one or the other and listen to both sides, and whoever wins the argument gets their thing. There's no compromise. And the Republicans have proposed to weaken that to allow the arbitrator to pick a compromise solution. On its face, it sounds like a technical change, Doc, but I got to tell you that the system has been working well. And when you hear Republicans in the House talk about why they want to do this, it's because they want to, as they call it, even the playing field from the big bad teachers and management. And I'm telling you, school boards and teachers are not equal. They're not. That's why we have collective bargaining, so that teachers can have a bigger voice at the table. And I don't know, it's been working well for a long time. I think the last study that I read in the Register, they were talking about there were 30 matters sent to arbitration. 19 went for the teachers and 11 went for the school board. It's over the life of the legislation, it's been fairly even, they say. And it kind of seems like, hey, we're putting some policy proposals out there. We know it's not going to pass the Senate because it had a party line vote in the House, and the Senate's still controlled by the Democrats. The Democrats said that we're not going to take this up. But you know what happens in 2 years? We have another election. Maybe the Senate goes Republican. We'll still have Terry Branstad in Terrace Hill. Maybe we get it done then. And they're just kind of starting it early. And this sounds like the opening salvo to a full-on assault of collective bargaining for state employees in the state, a la Wisconsin. In my opinion, Terry Branstad is going to have to tread fairly lightly if that's what he's thinking about doing. Which is weird. My dad never liked him. My dad was a teacher for a long time. My dad never liked him, but I don't remember Terry Branstad going too hard after the teachers union.
Well, no, I mean, Terry Branstad has had the teachers union support every time he's run. He had it this last time around. Teacher unions love him. And that's why to me, it's kind of surprising this is even coming up. This is the gas tax approach, where you introduce it, gradually build the pressure, and then bam,
Yep.
Screw your own party, make sure you pass the tax. Well, this is going to be kind of the same thing, except it's not going to be a bam kind of moment. I mean, they're not going to go hardcore to this thing.
Well, the motivation seems a little odd to me. It's been working fine. No one has complained about it except for people that lose arbitration. Everybody loses arbitration complains. And so you just kind of wonder what's the deal? And I think it's a subtle move to start positioning towards a bigger deconstruction of collective bargaining and unions in the state.
Well, and that might be true. And I wouldn't agree or disagree. I can't read the motivations of Terry Branstad at this point.
Well, it's not. No, but he didn't introduce it. It was House Republicans that introduced it.
Yeah, I understand, but we both know who runs the Republican Party here in Iowa.
Yeah,
I mean, for crying out loud,
the longest serving governor. Well, soon to be the longest serving governor in U.S. history. I mean,
yes.
he's got a little bit of power, a little bit of juice.
A little bit of juice. That's right,
Uncle Terry.
Yes. Anyway, let me read what the House Republicans have to say about this, because that was the bill number is HSB 117. Basically, it's the ability of a public employee to opt out of representation by the union. I think if you don't want to belong to a union, I don't think you have to belong to a union. I don't think that if you want to support a union, you should be required to support a union. Allowing the state to control what portion state employees pay for insurance. Currently, most employees don't pay anything for their insurance. I don't think that's right. I think they ought to have to pay something. And I think there ought to be co-pays, and that way there's not abuse of the system. Because I see abuse of the system all the time when you have a system like that. Allowing an arbitrator to make decisions between two opposing sides, you mentioned that. Forcing the arbitrator to compare public and private wages and benefits when possible. In other words, if you have a private Catholic high school like Dowling, what are their benefits and what are their wages and everything else like that, so you can compare. And then the last thing, and I think this is the real contention, forbidding the arbitrator to consider past bargaining agreements when negotiating new contracts. That's a real stick in the eye. I mean, I think of anything, that's going to be the thing.
The opt out. See, this is the problem with opting out of the union or whatever. It's that union membership is okay. I was going to say always voluntary, but we know that in reality that doesn't. A lot of pressure can be put on workers to join a union by their other workers or by the union itself. We know that happens, but the problem that I have with this opt out stuff is there are plenty of people. My dad was really, when he was a teacher here in the state, he was very involved in his union. He was very and gave speeches all over the country. For his particular, he was with UNISERV, so he was in his particular division of the union. He was very active in the ICA, and his point about this was, look, he taught in Northwest Iowa when he lived here. Big. Not the hotbed of liberal activism, Northwest Iowa. A lot of people not belong to the union because they didn't believe in it ideologically. He said, that's fine. But then when we go to the table on a collective bargaining to negotiate rates of pay, to negotiate insurance, to negotiate fringe benefits and all the other stuff that we negotiate, that is covered to every teacher. Every teacher gets those benefits, regardless if you belong to the union or not. So if you're going to opt out, not provide support to the union, and stand against the union if we decide to strike or whatever, which I don't think he was ever part of that, but all the things that unions do to level the playing field for their members, well, then why do you reap the benefits if you're not willing to put the work in? I think you can appreciate that.
Well, yeah, but now Iowa's a right to work state. There are other states that say, well, if you have to be part of a union, if you're going to join, like Deere or something like that in another state, you have to join the union and you have to pay those dues. Now, I understand the position that the union say, hey, we're going to bat for you, and how come you're not supporting us? At the same time, I think if you're not going to participate in the union, great, go negotiate your own contract. I think that'd be perfectly reasonable. That you don't necessarily get what the union wants, right? And the truth of the matter is most negotiation does go on at a state level, but as you know, you'll know this better than me. Most of the negotiation happens at the local level.
But the state I believe that and I hesitate to even go there because I'm not sure about this. I believe that all teacher contracts are decided at the state level. Can't. I'm not sure if that's right.
Well, the framework is at the state level, and then there's things they tweak at the. Now, keep in mind, the teachers I knew when I was a kid, they explained it that way to me.
Right.
I'm 30 years older, so things could have changed.
And I don't remember. So, if we can maybe post something on the website or on Facebook if we look that up or think about it later. If somebody calls and wants to correct us, I don't want to go too far on the limb because I can't remember.
All right,
how it works.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty at the beginning of the show, so we were sorry for running late. We want to thank all of our listeners, all of our sponsors, Petrosha Associates, Lubinas Law Firm,
Maddie on the ones and twos,
Halo Capital, Des Moines Institute, Des Moines Anesthesia PC, 515-574-6442.
I want to thank you, Doc. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah. Surprisingly, the way he said that, I don't think thank is the word he was saying.
I was being completely sincere. How dare you?
So, are you partying down this weekend anywhere?
No, we had the gig last week in Washington. It went really well, but I'm playing. I picked up a random gig in Iowa City next week on the 10th. But no, this weekend is Easter. We're gonna go visit the future in-laws in Northwest Iowa and do a little Easter.
Oh, have fun!
Mashed potatoes, a little ham. Can't wait.
But we have a family tradition where we strap nickels, dimes, and quarters to little chocolate eggs. Then we hunt them down, right? And then my mom started that tradition. My brother Joe has continued it. But this year I think he's going to come over here and see us. So so I'm going to have to scramble to get a bunch of chocolate eggs and, make sure my yard is free of dog mines.
Oh, man. You wouldn't want to.
That could be an adventure.
It's true. It adds a little extra risk. And sometimes a dog mine can be confused for a chocolate egg.
Oh, yes. Every time.
We better get out of here before we get in trouble.
All right. Thanks, everybody, listening. We'll be back next week. We're hoping to have Michael Libby on the show.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.